we've demonstrated here today for the whole weekend is there's such a thing as what we believe in is food for thought. I think this whole weekend has been a feast. I think every day in the formal conference meetings here and in the informal meetings together one-on-one with everybody, I think we've, to me, it's encouraging. I don't know. I think that I think we've demonstrated very well just the levels of agency complicity in the case of FBI, CIA, Secret Service, possible mafia involvement. The levels of that complicity has been debated here, but in the foreknowledge of agencies and people towards the crime and the cover-up. But so I think this weekend's been really good. I appreciate Professor Rose, and may I say from your demonstrations on Oswald and suspicion and anomalies, I think you and Philip Melanson and maybe to a lesser extent Paul Hope, I think you guys got that whole area very convincing as far as the anomalies there, which was shown. It also shows that nothing's black and white in this case too. And there's a tendency, I don't know, sometimes maybe if it's personal pride, your research, your hard work, where sometimes I'm guilty of it too, so I'm not passing judgment on anybody. I mean, we're all human. There will be a tendency to say, well, the mafia did it, hey, I don't believe in your theory. Or the CIA did it, hey, I don't believe what you're saying here. And I think it's, because nothing's black and white, I think it's a little bit of everything can be mixed into here. And nobody is really totally right and nobody's totally wrong. You know, so I think that's something that, I think that's something we're actually seeing here. And just the whole thing that Charles was talking about his novel, in the respect that I think that anger and emotion is good because that fuels the fire. Like I think that the average man in the street, at least I talked to for what it's worth, they think there's a conspiracy. Oh yeah, who's someone in the grassy knoll and they name a certain agency, fill in the blank, and then it's like, well, what about that Pirates game? It's kind of like it's along that level, you know. It's like because a lot of people, they don't see the historical ramifications. They think like what. Well, quote Lipton here, a man in a building shot a man in a car, and that's it. And I think when you demonstrate the ramifications afterwards, beyond the personal feelings of what you thought about JFK and that's what's going to get the blood going. And I think that was a good point made. Whether the Oliver Stone movie might be some, you know, conceived red herring if people want to take that viewpoint, I think it's still going to do a world of good just getting out there, just for nothing else, the general awareness, which is, you know, we bring this conference together for awareness of people in the know like us, but the man on the street who has X amount of interest in the case or knowledge or whatnot, that's going to bring the case up to a level. Whether Oliver Stone's going to, you know, go this way or that way is, you know, it's going to be that much better or whatever. And I just think in general, I think the level of general knowledge on the case has improved. It's saying, like, where do we go from here with the case, what we do. But it just seems like people, and here again, people on the street, that's the people we're trying to appeal to, is trying to get people to be aware of our research. I mean, the old saying, if a tree falls in the woods, nobody hears it, makes a sign. We can go to where we're blue in the face and check them documents out and look what we find, everybody, you know. But I mean, we're not coin collectors and stamp collectors here. I mean, just to satisfy our personal knowledge, we're here to, you know, and we know this too. I mean, I'm not saying anything new. We're here to present, you know, our case and try to, you know, do something with it. And I think the fact that the average people on the street that I encounter, that maybe they do show those emotions of kind of an indifference, the things that they tell me, it's almost like I want to say, how did you know that? Or where did you read that? Or, damn, man, it's like, you know about that document, you know about that film. It's almost surprising sometimes, and I think that's good. And I don't know where we were, because, well, I'm only 25, so I sound like I've been on this case forever. You know, I was too young to remember a lot of things, but it just seems to me that I can even recall before best evidence in high treason, and I was, you know, I was like in middle school when the Hot Select Committee came out. People didn't know anything. I mean, they had no, it was just, I just didn't know how to explain it. It was like the best they know about was the anomalies and the single bullet theory. But now it's just like a whole realm of people naming names, whether it's speculation or not. So I think that in that respect, I think this conference and what we're doing is really good. And I think that reflects on what you're saying, where do we go from here? And the points that you brought in your paper that you were trying to explain, the things that we know, I think that that's good. I think we do know all the points that you stressed. So no matter what everybody's personal beliefs are, I think it's the fact that we've got that. That's good. Yeah.
speaking of the stone film, I'd like to encourage everybody to put together a one-page flyer that could be made available in whatever local theater is showing the stone film, so that all over the country, we've got people who come in to see the film can get some other information, at least maybe somebody to contact or some further information to follow up on.
Yeah. Yeah.
As a retired police officer, and there are other police officers in the room.
Look at the address.
I just want you to know that we've all investigated a lot of crimes and interviewed a lot of people. And what you do, I have a lot of respect for what you're doing here, and the enthusiasm in which you're doing it. You're taking on a very large task, and I'm very encouraged by what I see. And if there's any way I can help personally, or if only to encourage you to keep going. I think you've come a long, long way, particularly since the time that Lipton came out with his first book, which might have had errors, but took you in a whole different direction, and I think you're well on the way. Thank you.
Well, as long as we start making subjects nice to one another, why don't we start to wind up in terms of